Welcome to the Solo Female Traveler Podcast, your source to get out and explore the world, with your host, Luisana Colmenares.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 7 of the Solo Female Traveler Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Denmark, and I have a very special guest here with me. He's my friend Stefan. We met in Venezuela almost 10 years ago. I kind of had a crisis when we realized that. He was like, no, it's been like 6 or 8 years. No, it has been almost 10 years. We met there. I am still having the crisis. That's why I don't know what to say. Can you please introduce yourself, Stefan?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Stefan. I'm apparently an expert in Denmark because I'm Danish. I went to Venezuela about 10 years ago, where I stayed for a year studying at the University of the Andes there in Mérida. And I encountered Luisana in the Hotel La Escuela. I don't know if you ever used that education for anything. I don't know if you ever used that education for anything since then.
Not really.
And back then, your English was very, let's just say, non-existing.
Not at all.
We practiced a lot, I would say, but we spoke mainly Spanish together. And since then, our primary language has switched to English. But sometimes we speak Spanish.
Yeah, no, your Spanish is really good. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous. You speak so many languages. But oh well. I barely speak Spanish sometimes. No, but then after what? Probably 6 years, I contacted you on Facebook. Because I remember I was looking for tickets to fly into Europe, and the cheapest ones were to Copenhagen. So I was like, oh, wait, I have a Danish friend. And I contacted you, and it was as if the time didn't pass. And then a few months after I went there, I met you and your wife, and I was in Denmark only for 5 days, and I was with Stefan most of the time. So that's why
very nice.
Yeah.
I managed to show you a very concentrated version of Denmark in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, well, it's not a huge country there, so it's easy to navigate. Like you
can pretty much drive around the whole country in one day. Like pretty much along all the coastlines, and then you've seen everything. Yes.
Okay, Stefan. Before I ask you anything else, I really want to ask you like something that Denmark is really known for, and that is their happiness. So, in your opinion, isn't Denmark the happiest country in the world?
According to the statistics, we have been for many years, but I actually think it was last year that we lost the first place. So now we're not the happiest country in the world anymore, and now it's just going downhill from here. Getting depressed from losing the title. I think happy is a wrong term. I think it's not about being happy; it's about not worrying. So of course we're happy and stuff like that, but if you compare it to people from South America, if you compare it to Latinos, people from down there, people like you, are much better at enjoying the moments, about the dancing and enjoying time with family and friends. I think in Denmark, Danes are more laid back in a sense, because again, we don't have to worry so much. And the reason why I say that is that there's a lot of stuff that is taken care of compared to other countries. Like, we don't have to worry about healthcare, we don't have to worry about education, we don't have to worry about general infrastructure like water, electricity, all these things, because everything is in place. So we can just focus on living, waking up every day, going to work, and then enjoying time with our families when we come home. So that's why I feel the term happy is a bit misplaced, but I understand when you look at the statistics why they come to the conclusion that we're first place, when you look at what parameters they've reviewed.
I guess I completely agree with you. Like, you guys don't really have to worry about that many things. Just right now, when you show me your house, it's like wow, you guys don't have fences. And that to me was mind blowing because every other country you go, everyone has fences. Mostly, I mean, we can be, as in your opinion, very happy in South America, but wherever you go, we have fences and many things that divide us, and that really caught my attention. And also about the work-life balance. What can you tell me about it?
It is very nice. I think that the average work week is around 37 hours per week.
That's awesome.
So it's quite common to leave for work at 7 or 8 in the morning, and then come home at around 4 or 5, and then you have time to have hobbies in the evening. You can go to sports. You can have time to for example be around your kids as well. I remember I've talked to a lot of people who some maybe in the States or elsewhere, where they would go to work at 8 in the morning and come home or at 8 or 9 in the evening, literally 12 hours.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that it 100% of Danish people are like that. Of course there are a few Danes who do the same, but the kind of general rule of thumb is around those 37 hours per week.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I think another interesting aspect is also the vacation. But we have a vacation law that says that we need to have at least 5 weeks of vacation every year. I think in the States that's 2 weeks, right?
It's only 2 weeks. I even sometimes it's 10 days.
10 days. Wow. Okay. No, yeah. For us, it's like 25 work days.
No, that's that's awesome. Like, yeah, I actually in one of my episodes I said that I have always tried to avoid a corporate job because just having 2 weeks of doesn't work for me. To me, is not enough. And mostly if you want to go on vacation or you want to travel, it will be too exhausting. And what about the education there?
I mean, a lot of people say that it's free, right? Everybody when you hear from international news, education is free. It's not free. My parents have paid for it through many years through taxes. So
Right.
just like in any other countries, parents are paying for it, but they have been paying through a long time, and it doesn't matter whether you take a short degree, whether you just finish high school and nothing more, or if you take a 7-year medical degree or anything like that. The taxes have been paying for it, so to speak. Another nice benefit of the education is that we get money from the government while we're studying. So I think it's equivalent. The rate varies depending on your situation. So if you're just kind of a standard basic student, you kind of get the minimum. But if you somehow live far away, or maybe if you're a single mom as a student, then you get additional benefits on top of it. But I think the kind of standard rate is around. I haven't been studying for a long time. I think it's like 5,000 or 6,000 Danish crowns.
What, a month?
Yeah, a month. And that's enough in the big city in Copenhagen and Aarhus. It's not enough.
Okay.
That might just cover the rent. But if you go to smaller cities, which also might have smaller universities, it is enough to get by.
Yeah, last time I was in Copenhagen, but I didn't see you. But last time I was in Copenhagen, I used couch surfing, and I stayed with this guy that he was telling me also he was going to nursing school, and he was telling me that what he's getting paid right now is only covers the rent.
Exactly.
And
it is a big problem in a lot of the big student cities like Copenhagen and Aarhus, that there's not enough apartments available for students when the new semester starts. But I think an important note to add to that monthly salary, you could call it, or whatever, is that it's limited. Right. So you have 90 months of pay from the government. So that means if your education takes, I don't know, 100 months, you have to somehow find money for those remaining 10 months. Okay. So you could save a little bit each month during those first 90 months, but the majority of everybody, they never have an education that long. It's usually just a couple of years, and it's gone after 50 or 60 months. And I actually think the last government that we had a few years ago, they also created a new law saying that we can only take a single education. So if you finished your bachelor and your master, then you cannot take another master's, but then you have to pay for the master's yourself.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. You're already a professional, so you're getting paid.
Exactly, but previously, and I think there's still people who are doing this. There are actually some people taking multiple educations. Sometimes we call them eternity students. But of course, there's a limitation to they only get 90 months of this student salary, and now with the new law that they can't do that. So yeah, we have a lot of options in that sense. That's quite
okay. Well, thank you so much for all the info. Also, something that I wanted to say is that even though Denmark is part of Europe, they don't use euros there. They use crowns, Danish crowns.
Yes.
And also, you guys don't use cash, right? I remember that when I got there, I withdraw some cash from the ATM at the airport. You were like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, we don't really use cash." So what do you guys?
True. I've had some cash in my wallet for I think 3 or 4 years now, and I haven't touched it, to be honest. And whenever I get cash in my hand, I'm like, I don't know what to do with. Like, I have this tiny wallet that just fits my cards now. I literally don't have space for cash in my wallet, and I've been working with that for those 3-4 years now.
It's more efficient that way. I remember you were most of the time either tapping your card or tapping your phone.
Yeah, exactly. It's much more efficient, much faster as well, and much more secure. And I actually think they've been discussing that soon. Some shops, they're going to be able to actually reject cash, I think after 8 p.m. or something like that. So, if you want to pay with cash, they can say, no, we don't accept that.
Oh, wow, that's very interesting.
And it's basically to improve the security of those shops. So, if they get robbed, or there's a less chance of them getting robbed, because the robbers are going to know, okay, there's no cash, so what am I going in there for anyway?
Do you guys really have robbers there? How is it safety over there?
We do. It is relatively safe, but there are still robberies. But it's compared to other countries, it's very low. And I also know that it's something that it's especially robberies in the homes, or there's a big difference whether if it's a robbery and there's nobody home, or if it's if there's somebody home, and then the ones where there's somebody home, they're taking them very seriously.
Oh, got it. Because I know, like, something that you always hear about Denmark. Well, there are two things. Like, first about the happiest country in the world, and also about how you guys leave your babies outside the stores, like, or coffee shops or the supermarkets. Like, that to me is crazy. Like, I don't think if I was a mom, I would be able to leave my baby outside. And then I'm mostly like, and also I read that you guys even do it during winter. That you leave your baby.
We cover them up. They have blankets. They're not cold. They're not freezing.
Poor babies.
I don't have any children. Just a disclaimer. But yeah, that's true. We leave them outside. It's quiet out there. They can rest and relax. And then we have this, the classical kind of walkie-talkie, and we're gonna hear them if anything.
Okay.
I actually don't think we have any kind of baby kidnappings. That I don't know of at all.
Okay.
I've never heard that actually. So yeah, we leave the babies outside, just like.
Now, once I read this story about this Danish woman in New York, that she was in Manhattan, and then she left her baby outside of a coffee store, and then child services took the baby. So she hire a lawyer.
Oh, that's brilliant.
She left the baby outside. So.
Okay, that I didn't know. No, we do that on a regular basis here, but I mean, we do it when they need to rest. If they're awake, we take them inside.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was all the time.
Yeah, it's just like the dogs, let them sleep outside.
Okay. Cool. Also, how expensive is Denmark? Because I remember it was very expensive. But I went to
expensive.
Like, for example, I don't know, let's compare it to the States. How expensive it is.
It is. very expensive. It's just I think compared to any country. I think the only other country that's kind of more again it depends on what parameters you compare it on, but otherwise I think the only one that's more expensive is Norway, I would say. And it's mainly because we have a lot of different taxes, and sometimes we also have very weird taxes. For example, we have a tax on nuts, and I think it was introduced back in the 1940s or something like that, related to the war. That it was a very sparse resource or something like that. So they added a tax on nuts, and nobody has ever kind of removed it since then, because it was just there.
Oh, the tax on nuts. Oh.
So nuts are very expensive. They've been discussing about removing it finally, because nuts are nice. But in general, we also just have it.
You guys also have tax on bacon, butter.
No, that's a fat tax. No, it's not a bacon tax, but a fat. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we have some on alcohol, and we also just have a general 25% VAT on stuff. And then we also have, relatively high income tax. I think one thing that I find nice about this whole income tax thing is it's leveled. So it depends on your income. So let's say that you earn 500,000 Danish crowns per year. Is that a lot? Yeah, that sounds about right. So the first 40,000, you do not pay any tax on that. Then from 40,000, I think, to 300 something, you pay the kind of fundamental basic tax, you could say. Then from 300 to 450, you pay medium tax, and then from 450 and anything above, you pay the high tax. So that means if you only earn 300, you never reach the high tax level. And also you only apply the high tax level on those remaining 50,000. You don't apply the high tax on the whole amount.
Got it.
So that's a very nice way of distributing the kind of tax evenly according to your income and to your situation.
Wow, I can tell that tax is a very important topic in Denmark. Like,
it is a very.
It's like I didn't even know what taxes were until I moved to the States.
Yeah, it's quite a big thing here, you could say, especially because it takes so much of your income. But at the same time, like we discussed in the beginning, that then we don't have to worry about healthcare. We don't have to worry about roads being broken. We don't have to worry about all those kind of things. They're just taken care of, and of course we have to pay for it somewhere or another. So either we could all pay for some private healthcare individually, or we just pay together for public healthcare, which has its benefits and its downsides, because that means that the healthcare in Denmark has to be very, very efficient. So that means whenever you actually go to the doctor, usually you have this kind of 15-minute slot, and the doctor has to be kind of a bit prepared beforehand. Whereas if you go to the doctor, private healthcare, maybe again the States or something, they're going to take care of you. How have you been? How's your kids doing? In Denmark, there's nothing like that. It's very to the point.
Can tourists go and use this free service, or is it only for Danish people?
You mean healthcare?
Yeah. Like, for example, let's say I'm in Denmark and then I break an arm. Can I go to the hospital without being charged, or is it different for?
Honestly, I don't know, but I think you can. I mean, if you go to Denmark and you just want to book a meeting with the doctor to talk about some plastic surgery, no. But if you get immediately
emergency, I wouldn't get a plastic surgery.
No, if it's an emergency and stuff like that, of course people will take care of you. You will be taken care of. But again, I'm not sure about the bill. I think within European Union, I think it's free. I don't know if I think for it's, yeah. I mean, my wife here in Denmark, she's from Brazil, and we haven't received any bills so far. So that's a plus.
Oh, okay.
So I guess not, yeah.
The places to go in Denmark. I remember when I was there, of course, you took me to Legoland. That's something we also got to talk about. We went to Copenhagen, of course, and in Copenhagen, we went to see the Little Mermaid. We went to the north to see Skagen.
Skagen.
Okay, I don't want to try pronouncing it.
Yeah, just give up. It's fine.
Okay, and also we went to see to Tivoli.
Yes,
So
we went
can
to
you
Tivoli.
talk more about these places?
I think the Skagen one is very pretty. It's the most northern point in Denmark, and it's very pretty because you see these two oceans colliding literally at the tip of Denmark, and you see this kind of line of waves colliding against each other. It's very windy. You can really feel the nature pulling in you in every single direction, but it can be very breathtaking.
Yeah, it
Then
was
there's
beautiful.
it is very nice. We also have these are this kind of natural things that you can see in Denmark. We also have the we call it the Sky Mountain, which is the highest place in Denmark, which is ridiculously small compared to any other country. Denmark is very, very flat. The Sky Mountain, as we call it, I think I don't even remember how tall it is, but it's ridiculously small.
Okay, but
then we have we have the big cities. We have, like you said, Copenhagen, and then two other ones. We have Aarhus and Odense, and they're all very. They have kind of each their personality, which is very nice. So if you go to Odense, for example, this is the hometown of the famous author H.C. Andersen. So there's a lot of tradition and sculptures, a lot of references to his past. And then if you go to Aarhus, it's much more of a kind of not hipster, I would say, but just a bit more relaxed city. And then Copenhagen is more of a metropole, kind of classical one, even though it's still relatively small. I mean, in Denmark, we're 5-6 million in total, so Denmark is a small country.
Okay, no, yeah, it is. And like since you mentioned that author, I forgot the name. He's the one that wrote The Little Mermaid, right?
Yes, and The Ugly Duckling, and a bunch of other ones.
Oh yeah, I just know The Little Mermaid.
Okay, sorry.
Can you tell me how it ends? Because it's not a happy ending, right?
Yeah, the Disney version is very pretty, and they live happily ever after. I think in the real version, it's something about that she tries to go on land, and then she ends up dying there. It's very not child friendly at all.
It's not like Disney.
No, it's not Disney. It's not Disney. The real life is not like Disney. Sorry to disappoint you.
Oh, okay. But I am a now I can handle
it. yeah, you're 10 years older since last time. I know you can handle it now. We have then you also mentioned Legoland. I mean, not a lot of people know that, but Lego is actually from Denmark. And as you said, we have Legoland here, and you also have Legoland there. It's a very brought out amusement park, you could say. One thing that is unique, however, is what they call the Lego house, which only exists in Denmark. And the main difference is that Legoland is just a regular amusement park, you could say. It has the roller coasters, and then it has a Lego theme. Whereas Lego house, it's very much centered around the brick and about playing with Lego. It doesn't have roller coasters or anything like that. All the experiences are around the brick. So that's very nice. And I'm sorry I didn't bring you last time.
You
actually
did. You're like you're talking about this place and you didn't take me there.
I think you were still under construction by then. I would say. I think another nice thing to experience is this thing called Møns Klint, which is this natural cliff, you could say. I remember we were discussing going there, but we didn't have enough time. Again, very concentrated. We had to filter out.
I gotta go back.
And then I also think in general, again, this is something more about visiting the city, but there are some very nice architectural places to see. I think right now we have there is a very famous architect called Bjarke Ingels who's creating a lot of designing a lot of nice buildings all over the world, and he's also created a lot in Denmark so far. And he also created that Lego house, for example. It's super pretty. So that's definitely something to put on your list as well. And then last but not least, like you mentioned, there's Tivoli, which is a very, very old school, traditional, very small amusement park in the center of Copenhagen. And it's just very nostalgic and cozy, and it's just
I really like it.
hyggeligt.
When we went there, you took me to eat some pastries, and then which everyone should try. The pastries are really good. Then we went to Tivoli, and I felt like in a movie. Good, and
and there's lights everywhere, and there's sounds and laughter and joy, all that. It's very cozy there.
And I remember we were playing one of those one of those games where I think you throw things at horses.
I remember it was like this kind of ball game where you had to push it forward and then get it in the center, and then that would move some metal horses up on the kind of scoreboard. So the horses was the score.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
So, and we won this little Nemo, and then we start taking pictures of that Nemo everywhere. Actually, I have like 3 pictures of myself in Denmark, and then like 30 of Nemo.
Yes, priorities, right? And actually, then I have the pictures. I can always send them to you. And then of course there's the Little Mermaid statue in Copenhagen, which is a must-see. And I need to underline the word a little. There's a lot of people who get disappointed when they see her because they think she's huge. She's not. She's very small, but she's very cute. Yes. And she's just, you could call it publicly available, standing by the seaside, and there's always a bunch of tourists there taking a lot of pictures. Because of that, it actually has a lot of it often gets vandalized. So sometimes people cut her head off, or they cover her with paint or stuff like that. Yeah, it's true. And then somebody fixes her after a while. So sometimes you get a very nice, unique picture of paint on the Little Mermaid, or the Little Mermaid without a head.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's a unique experience. Let's put it like that.
Okay, Stefan, thank you so much. I think that, people here can really get a good understanding of Denmark, not only what to do, where to go, but also about the culture, their education, and their taxes, which are
their taxes,
part of their life. Thank you so much, and I know that I gotta go back, so you can take me to all those places that I didn't know about.
You're welcome anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.